everyone, and welcome. We at the Evesham SDA Church are excited to have you here for the 1-week Health Reset webinar series. Over the next week, we'll be sharing simple, powerful steps you can take to transform your health, and it all starts right now. Throughout this series, you'll learn topics like unlocking the 8 pillars of health, exposing the #1 killer, and even practical demonstrations in water treatments. Each night, we'll focus on small, easy-to-follow actions that will help reset your body and mind. Plus, there is a downloadable handout of the key points covered each night. You can download it in the comments section below. By the end of the week, you'll be on your way to feeling your best, inside and out. Whether you're just getting started on your health journey or looking to take your wellness to the next level, this is your chance to reclaim your health in just 1 week. Join us now for this segment of the 1-week Health Reset series, and get ready to take the first step toward a healthier, happier you.
All right, good night, everyone, and welcome back to the fortnight of our Health Week. We've been out here night after night, going into the 8 pillars of health, which were, let's see if you remember. The first one was pure air. Let me start you off. Sunlight, temperance, rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water, and trust in divine power. Right, so that was the bedrock. We looked at why we get sick. Last night, what was the topic last night? The #1 killer, right? And tonight now, we are going to be looking at Herbs 101. Now, tonight we have a new speaker again. So every night you're getting somebody more and more dynamic. Last night we have the aspiring doctor. Tonight we have the professional, and in the health department, I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, right? He is no other than Brother Junior Dowers, and he is an elder here at the Evesham SDA Church. He is also very prominent in the health department here in St. Vincent, and you are in most competent hands. Also, he is an expert in the herb world, because as far as I know, apart from using the herbs, he makes them and also helps to sell them to other persons here in St. Vincent. So he is not keeping the secret to himself, but he shares with others through the use of herbs. I give you no other than Brother Junior Dowers.
Good night, brethren. Yes, so good night once again, and good night to all listening to us via the web. Wherever you are, whether in St. Vincent, Grenada, Trinidad, Tobago, wherever you are within the hearing of my voice, I trust that as we continue this series and I present what I have for us tonight, that by the grace of God, that we all will not only be reminded, but we will leave here being a better equipped people doing service for God. As it is said, our body is the temple of God. And if we fail to take care of the temple, then what would happen? The temple will crumble and we cannot function effectively. And so, continuing tonight, Herb 101, Nature's Best Secret. So, as a people who believe in the health message, and as a people who knows for certain that herbs was created and it was given as a service for man. You know, the Bible tells us during creation week, and behold, all was very good. Behold, and we could just turn to our Genesis, the book of Genesis chapter 1, and we will read a few verses. We'll read verse 1 and 2, and we'll also read verses 10 to 12. So you can take your Bibles and you follow and read along as I cite these few scriptures. So Genesis chapter 1, and I'm reading from the King James Version. And it says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." Continuing verse 10 to 12. "And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he sea. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herbs yielding seeds, and the fruit tree yielding fruits after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herbs, yielding seed from its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and God saw that it was good. So, during creation, after God would have created everything, and he say, behold, it is very good. So everything that was placed upon the earth was for the benefit of mankind. And so tonight, as we delve into what we will call the introduction into herbiology, and herbiology simply is where plants or herb is used as medicinal purposes, right? So while the word might sound big, we understand clearly it is the use of plants or herbs as a form of medicine, And so around us, we are surrounded by so many different herbs. But one of the things is, my old man always used to say, ignorance is a curse. And sometimes we see curse as when somebody probably speak ill to you, but curse is also lack of knowledge. Because the lack of knowledge, the Bible says, because the people suffer because of lack of knowledge. And so, if we may have the very thing that can help us, but because we don't know, it is there just wasting away. So tonight, I hope that when we leave here, and after you would have listened, we would all make use of all that God would have created for us. So, biblically speaking, Genesis chapter 8, verse 18 reminds us that thou shalt eat the herbs of the field, which is God giving us permission. He is saying these things are created for us. And also, Psalms 104 verse 14 reminds us, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and the herbs for the service of man. So we have no doubt in our mind that herbs are good. We have no doubt in our mind that herbs are to make us better. Right? Some people believe more in the pharmaceutical, but God cannot make a mistake. And if he say it is good, it is because man cannot question it anymore. It is good. But as we delve in, we will see some more details as it relates to the herbs. Now, while herb is a natural and good tool, and when we put it that way, our herbs are natural and good thing to be used, we have to be mindful. One day I was on the park doing some exercise, and this guy was also exercising, doing some real good exercise. And after you finish walking out, do exercise, you'll go and relax. But then I saw the guy smoking after. In the back of my mind, I'm like, but you're doing a good thing. But here, you're doing a bad thing. It's like you're defeating the purpose because you're exercising, which oxygen and everything is good for the lungs, help to keep off cancer and everything. But here at the other end, you're smoking. Or it's like, it can be on the other side that we mingle ourselves among people who smoke and inhaling secondhand smoke. And so it can create a problem likewise. So I'm saying all this to say, now, there's what we may call the mop-up analogy. So let's take, for example, you have a sink at home and you're washing up the ways, and so what you do, you put in the plug. But something, your phone probably ring and you forget the pipe that is on. What is eventually going to happen? The sink going to fill up and overflow, make a mess of the whole place, right? Now, understanding mop-up technology is like, as I said, make mention of the guy and smoking, is like we correcting our diet. And the plug inside of the sink now that will stop the water from running out is we fixing our lifestyle. Understand it this way. So it is good, you eat a good healthy breakfast, eat a good lunch, you're doing some exercise, but somewhere along the way, we do something wrong. while herbs are good, it is not a magic pill. Herbs are not magic pills. It means, therefore, that we have to do the right thing. Herb is just to enhance. It's like Ellen driving his car, it's functioning well. So what he does to maintain that functionality, he do regular servicing. So we cannot expect herbs to do a work when we are counteracting it. So we cannot expect to be eating any hour, eating every hour, eating anything we feel like, and say, man, yeah, if I drink some ginger, that will do the trick. It don't work that way. It's like, as I use the sink example, we turn on the tap, but the sink is plugged, everything gonna wash out. So if we don't change our lifestyle and change our diet, the herb is like null and void. It's like we just wasting time, as the older head would say, spinning tap in mud. So we must understand that while herbs are good, we must use them with moderation, and proper practices must be administered. Now, there are different methodology that is in how herbs are being prepared, right? Now, most of us will know tea. You know, sometimes I say, boy, I want some ginger tea or some guinea pepper tea, lemongrass tea, right? But here, herbs not supposed to be boiled. Now, one of the rationale behind that is, especially when herbs are green. You know, generally most herbs are green, or some might be colored, but what happens is that when they are boiled, you allow more chemical or things that should not be released to be released. And that is one of the rationale why herbs is supposed to, what do we may say infuse. So, like when we're making tea, we may have some peppermint or probably some guinea pepper leaves or probably some hibiscus flowers. What we do, normally it is best when they are dried. So if they're dried, one thing is preservation will be longer, the lifespan will be longer, because anything that is wet and moist or allowed to get moisture will eventually get mold and fungus, and that is not good for our health. The brain cells once die would not be replaced, and mold and fungus damages brain cells very fast and easy. Right? So what we need to do is best thing is to dry our herbs. And then let's say 10, 15, 20 minutes, we boil the water, pour it on it, close the container, leave it there as it was, let it infuse. And probably 10, 15 minutes after, you're ready. Infuse, if you look at infuse as like you have a small cup in a big cup. So you put all the herbs inside it, so the leaves and all the fine particles is not coming out in the tea, but they remain in the cup. So it's like a strainer. We understand, right? And that is really how you would prepare your teas in using herbs, which are very good. One of the things that we must keep in mind, while herbs are good, different herbs would have different effect or impact on different people. For example, ginger is a very good calming, soothing tea, but ginger put a lot of people to sleep. So if you see like you're not sleeping, instead of going and take pharmaceutical pain tablets, you could just drink some warm, nice ginger tea, and you will wallow off into a nice utopic sleep. So we have, so as I mentioned before, we have tea. We also have what you call decoction, and that is preparing, in means of preparing herb, decoction. And what really is decoction? Now, we know like marby bark, right? The bark of the tree, or we might use the root of the dandelions, different roots, because herbs have roots likewise. Ginger is also a root. So we may have different root, or the bark as I mentioned. What we do is that, because while they can be prepared similar to the tea, because they are harder and much more tough, if you want to put it that way, what we will do is like we soak them, as it were, so that they can become, they absorb. It's like you put a spice in the water so it dry it out. Because it's much harder, you soak it and allow it. You can boil it, but do not allow it to boil for no excessive time. As we get down later on, I will tell you about some herbs that we can boil and seems not to be affected by heat. So we can prepare those roots and likewise take it as a form of a tea, or we can have it there and drink it over time. Put it in the fridge or anything of that sort so we can drink it over time. One of the things, while I'm speaking to this, I'm also speaking about the safety and dosage, right? We must be mindful, not especially if it's a new herb, don't take a whole heap one time because you don't know, you could be overdosing. And it is very important that you know your herbs. And I will speak something more about that as we go along. So we have teas, we have decoction, also we have tincture. What really is that? I don't know how much of us know, and our foreparents, they might have, coconut oil, and you make a coconut oil, and you might get a piece of rosemary leaf, and you place it down in the oil, or grind some nutmeg, and put it inside as well. Right. You can do it similarly with alcohol-based stuff, and you put it inside there, and like you might get a fever and they will throw it and rub you down. Right. Basically, that's like a tincture, right? So it's like you're getting the properties out of the herb by through mixing processes. Alcohol-based, or as I mentioned, coconut oil can also be used, and then you rub down yourself, right? So that is another methodology, a way, and it is more concentrated. Because what happened, herbs get stronger over time, right? So if I prepare a certain herb tea here, there are certain herbs that can be prepared and you can leave them in the fridge, but over time, let's say you take 2 teaspoons of that herb produced today, a month from today, it will be much more stronger, and therefore you would not be able to use the same level. You have to use a smaller portion, right? We also have what they call poultice and compression. Poultice is basically, I don't know how much of us have, like if you have dermatitis problem, we know what they call ball head, those cashy, wrong stuff, and they have some green leaves. Those can also, you could pong them up, make it like into a paste, right? Or it could be other different herbs. I only use that one in particular. You can also use whether it be turmeric or other things, and you make it more like a paste. You know, and you remember in the Bible when Christ, I think, was the man with the blind and he spit on the ground and he mixed the mud and put it right. That is basically what you call a poultice. So with the affected area, and you paste it over the area so as to help to heal. So that is something that is more used external, right? Inflammation, wounds, might be boils, and another bush we could use, I think they call it leaf of life, kind of thick leaf, right? You have there's sometimes we call it kettle boil, or you have which basically you have an internal infection and it's showing up, you could actually heat it, whether you use some candle, soft candle, and that will help to, as I say, ripen the boil to get the pus to exude, right? So that is basically how you use herb in terms of a poultice. Compression, and we all know, simplest form, you probably have a high fever and you get a rag, put it in, whether it be cold water or hot water, and then you like compress the area. So it's not the water itself. So whenever there's a herb that is mixed, you could also use the same way, and it helps to soothe the area. Right? We good? Right, great. So I think we get in somewhere. If you think I ain't saying something right, you can interject. All right? So as I was saying before, it is imperative, it is very important, dosage of herbs when it comes to safety and in knowledge of the herb. Because just like how they have medicine interaction, pharmaceutical, so you might be taking, let me use the most, I think everybody probably knows, if you're taking antibiotics, they would say to you to refrain from alcoholic beverages, right? So I'm using that for us to understand there could be interaction with medicine. In the same way, there can be interaction with herb. So you might be, if you're taking medicine, or if you're a breastfeeding mother, or you're pregnant, it is very much mindful that we consult our healthcare physician, right, before we take a particular herb. Because if you're breastfeeding, whatever you take in can go on to the child. And the dosage the child could be getting from you could be too high and create problem for the child. Right? So remember, the child is breastfeeding. So we have to be mindful. And likewise, when you are pregnant, remember the child feeds, right? And so dosage is very important. And knowing the herb, because there are some herb, like I say, interaction, you can actually, if you want to use, for want of a better word, poison yourself. So we have to be very much mindful. If you don't have the knowledge of a thing, find out from someone who know, and then we can make the intervention. So safety is paramount. We remember, you can't build back, as someone once say, they don't make parts for human anymore, right? So if we damage ourselves, basically, it's like if we taking out ourselves. So we have to be very, very much careful. So when it comes, let me reiterate, when it comes to breastfeeding, pregnant women, we must be mindful. And if you don't know a herb, find out, know about it. And again, the dosage is very important. As I would say, and it is a reality, if you want to, for want of a better word, all chemicals or everything is basically a poison. Water can be a poison. Sugar can be a poison. Anything can be a poison. It's just the right dosage, right? And so it applies to herbs. If you overdose yourself, you will affect yourself. And so we must be mindful of our dosage that we are taking in. Now, on a day-to-day basis, we can consume herb. We have so many herbs around us. In the kitchen, we can prepare when we're preparing our diet, our food, whether breakfast, lunch, or dinner, we can use herbs within it to help to enhance. Because a number of herbs help with digestion. A number of herbs help with the circulation of the system. So we can use herb in different form. And there's a lot of herb around us. Now, some of the herbs that we could use in our kitchen is like garlic. And as I would say to people, garlic is one of those herbs. You know, sometimes when you're going to cook, right? Most people, I don't know if it's most, but I know of quite a few. You start to cook and you put in the salt in the pot and allow it to boil. But there is a situation here that you can end up putting too much salt. Why? Remember, you start off with, let's say start with 2 liters of water. As that boils, the water gets less, but the salt concentration ain't changed. So in that amount of water, when you taste it, it will not taste salt. But by the time it gets, let's say start with 2 liters, by the time it gets to 1 liter, it will be more saltier, than when you taste at the beginning, right? So if you were to mix salt in water and you spread it out on the table, soon as it dry, you're going to see all the salt crystals there. So understanding that phenomenon is understanding. So normally I would say to people, put the salt probably just about when the pot about finished. Have a few minutes to inculcate itself, right? In that way, you would not use too much. You would use just enough. And so garlic is one of those herbs that even if you put it in the pot, the properties tend not to be destroyed. But there are a number of herbs that you cannot put them inside the pot all the up front. Otherwise, the properties will be destroyed. And people sometimes have this misconception. I say, there's to me, also ask me if I wanted pumpkin soup. I say, really and truly, it named pumpkin soup, but how nutritious is it? Because that been boiling for like how long? All the nutrients of the pumpkin done dead. Pumpkin basically is supposed to be blanched where you could feel a crunch when you're eating it. So if you're making pumpkin soup, seriously, you really and truly, it did the name so, but how much nutrients were you consuming from the pumpkin, right? So garlic is one of those things, and they are immune boosters. It helps with lowering blood pressure, right? So while that it is good, we know about temperance, the 8 good doctors, the 8 health laws, if you put it that way. While garlic is good, too much of anything that is good is bad. Temperance in all things. So while garlic is good, we cannot go and say, boy, let me drink a whole heap of garlic water to carry down our blood pressure. Remember, the body must be in a state of homeostasis. It must be in a balance. So if the acidic level is too low or the alkaline is too high, we're going to still have issues, right? And so we have to, that is why we must balance things. So garlic is a good immune booster. It helps, fight colds and flus and things like that. It increases your general health, help to lower blood pressure, right? We also have things like turmeric, anti-inflammatory. Sometimes we do so much, we eat different things that petrify within our stomach, actually rotten. Or sometimes what happens, we start to eat something and digestion haven't complete and we go on to eat something else. What really happened is that digestion halt for the other thing to come. And then what happened? There is that commingling where you have fermentation and you have rotting actually. So then some hydrogen sulfide passing out and it is highly offensive because there's actually putrefaction happening inside, which create inflammatory situation. And so turmeric is very good. But one of the things is that most of us use turmeric and we use it wrongly. Turmeric must be used with an oil base. It must have black pepper inside of it. And it, for certain, so what we're saying is, so if you take, let's say you get a piece of turmeric, you boil it, and you just drink it plain like that. Because there's no black pepper inside of it, and it doesn't have an oil-based setting, the body is like, it's like taking in cellulose. The body can't digest cellulose, so it just going in your system. You just have bulk, you really have no benefit from it. So if you do get benefit, let's say you get 2 out of 100, and that is a fail. But when you add those other 2 things that I mentioned, especially the black pepper and also the oil base, whether it be oil base, fat base, right? Fat base basically, it helped to absorb 90-something%. So you see the big disparity between using it just like that and using it how it's supposed to be used. So it is important that we have our knowledge on these things. So turmeric helps with anti-inflammatory and joint pain and digestion and things like that. We have peppermint, which is nice, soothing, and make you feel relaxing. And we all know peppermint. We have ginger. Again, as I mentioned before, some people using ginger will fall asleep in minutes, right? To me, I know a few friends of mine who I would had certain situation, and after they would have, prepared the ginger tea and give them it, man, less than 5 minutes they fall asleep. And so that is why I say sometimes it's even much better than sleeping pills, because sleeping pills have it serious side effect afterwards. Yes. Okay, so let me say, for example, if I'm going to make a tea with it, right? You could use some olive oil and with the black pepper inside of it, let everything boil together. Yeah. Because you see, if you just leave it on its own, it go in, it's like people, first time, I don't know if it is being propagated much, they tell you blend some egg and something and you drink it. The body cannot digest raw egg. It's just going in and come back out. It's a waste of time. You understand? So it's like some people speak, but they don't know after which they speak. If you try, so when they tell you about rare egg, your body can't digest that. Your body wasn't made for that. It's a waste of time putting it in the first place. Right? So we have basil, good antioxidant, and antioxidant note every day. Yes. While the cayenne pepper, to the best of my knowledge, it has in a similar property to the black pepper, but they are different. The name right now, I'm not remembering the name of the chemical inside of it, but I want to sound like that name, but because I remember it right now, I don't want to say it and say the wrong thing. Yeah, so the cayenne, it might not be the best substitute because, like I say, there are properties in the black pepper that help to activate, right? Now, so as I was saying, so we have in terms of antioxidant, every day we are exposed to a lot of free radicals, and we have to be. This is very important. Sometimes we roast in our breadfruit, and the free radicals, smoke, all those different things, and free radical displaces oxygen in your system. Very, very easy. So that is why if like you start a car in a garage and there's no ventilation, you could be knocked out because the hemoglobin will be inhibited, and so oxygen will be displaced by that carbon monoxide. And so about 300 plus free radicals we are able to tolerate per day. A lot of us exposed to a lot more than that. And this is why herbs are very important to help to, as it were, detoxify, to get rid of that system. But remember, we said from beginning, we can't be taking something good to help, but then practicing the same thing. It's like if we do the same thing the same way every day and expect different results, we are stone mad. We can't be doing the same thing the same way and expect different results. So if we are to free ourselves from free radicals and we're taking things like ginger and basil and rosemary to help with the antioxidant, to help to fight free radicals from our system, yet we're exposing to it. So expose today and they take it tonight. You expose tomorrow. Nah, what are we doing? We're choking ourselves. It's of no use. So we have things like parsley. And these are things that we know. Rosemary, again, help with blood circulation. And it's in the night. If you really have stress factors, you can't sleep good, you take a nice glass, whether it be an 8 or 10 ounce glass of rosemary hot tea. Trust me, it works wonders. Right? It works a lot of wonders. Thyme, antiseptic, and is great for respiratory illness issues. Antiseptic, as again, we breathe in so much different things. Our lungs everything needs to be clean. Everything needs to be cleansed. But we cannot be cleaning and expose ourselves back to the same thing that create the clog in the first place. Remember we talk about the sink, the mop-up effect? So the herb is not a magic pill. So we have to do the right thing the right way. Otherwise, we're going to just keep sicking ourselves. Oregano, another powerful antioxidant. Do we all know what oregano is? Okay, great. You know, I think it was 2008 or 2009. I realized this thing was being sold and it's sold so expensive. And like, why is oregano? So I checked. I said, but what is this? I know this thing and then realizing I didn't, but because of the name, a lot of people don't realize that is the thing. So tiki time as we call it, oregano. I will show us a few in a while. So cayenne is also good. It's good to boost the circulatory system, but again, like any other herb, too much of any one thing is bad. Because while herbs are healing, you don't want to be overdosed and overused. Okay? Yes. It is not a problem. It is not a problem. As a matter of fact, it get a good, healthy flavor as well. And both, they would not counteract each other. And as you asked that, but right, I remember saying to a person, we have to be mindful when I talk about interaction, mixing different herbs. Because if we don't know the properties of the herbs, we can actually be creating a poison, if we want to put it that way. You know, like we in the bathroom and we scrub in the bathroom and we figure the soap powder, the cleaner or whatever is not good enough, and we add bleach to it, and then we're creating acids and we're creating ammonia, and we're breathing that in and we're cutting up our lungs. If we would see the impact that really have on our lungs, we would not even try to practice that. Never mix chemicals that you have no knowledge about, because when you mix those things and think it's going to be better and stronger, you're creating a problem. Right? So the same way with herbs. If you don't know, find out from those who know. Because it is been said that you're not supposed to really mix more than 3. Because remember, the liver has to do that additional work. So you might be doing something to help the liver, but at the same time, creating a problem for the liver and the kidneys. So we have local herb, we have moringa, which is, I know it is a good energy booster. It helps in the circulatory system. We have soursop leaf, and that is something that right now is like, if you want to say, trending, right? I don't even think you could get that into America so easy right now. I don't think so, right? As it relates to cancer, the healing properties of the soursop. And both the leaf and the fruit is very good, both the leaf and the fruit. So we have a lot of these things around. We need to utilize it. As I said to one lady, you selling all the oranges and buy turbo? Like, seriously? That doesn't make no sense. You know, it makes no sense. So we have lemongrass, bay leaf, sirasi. You know why sirasi? Right. And you know, the first time I came across that name, I was like, sirasi? Why sirasi? But we all know what sirasi is. Carilla. Or some may call it bitter melon. Right. That helps a lot, especially. Hello? No, bitter. All of them is the same. The same cousin. There's just that they are different species. Right. So what happened is that this Carilla in particular, it helps with controlling blood sugar. And it does real good. Right. Um, it helps to control, if you want to put it that way, your blood sugar level. Especially to me, it works well in the night. See, like before you go to bed, take a nice, whether it be a 8 ounce glass or so, whether it be about a 2 gram in a tea bag, you put that in your water, let it infuse, and then you consume. It tastes bitter, but it does wonders. As I say, it is a blood cleanser, blood purifier, right? Bay leaf, anti-inflammatory, and we have bay leaf all around, right? It helps also with your blood sugar level, and it helps to do cleansing. Lemongrass is a very powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory as well, right? We have all these things around, but sometimes we don't use them. And note, you don't have to make all these things in teas. You can apply it, you could put them into your pot when you're cooking daily. Now, right, what I have here also is a dry breadfruit leaf, right? And this works well in helping to control high blood pressure. It works well. Some people, it works so well that some people tend to want to, like Rome was built in one day, but they want to build Rome in one day. They abuse it, and what happened? It dropped the blood pressure way below it's supposed to be, right? We have some lemongrass here. Not only smelling nice, but it worked one. I had some this morning. Trust me, you will sweat out real good as you go through the day. It works real wonders. I normally prepare my herbs through dehydration process and powdering. So, if I go home one and I want a nice, whatever tea I want, I just pick a bag, drop it in some hot water, and I'm ready to go. And those herbs work wonders. We have turmeric, which we used to call it, what is the name now? Saffron. All your years, that is what we know it by. We have ginger, and all these are rhizome. We have ginger and the root. Remember we mentioned before about whether you do it as tea or as concussion or as pulses, or if we do it as a tincture. And this is tiki time oregano, something that is selling so expensive, and we have it all around, and it's so easy to grow. Very, very easy. If you start to growing, it gets out of control very fast, and yet we're buying it on the shelf. This is what we were saying about Syracuse. This is some call it bitter melon. Locally we call it Carilla, and this work wonders. Like I said before, herbs being dried is best. This is some leaf of a soursop, right? These best dried and prepared. Well, if they're very, very hard to dry. It takes a while. Even when you're dehydrating them, they take a few days well. Because if they're not dehydrated properly, you will have fungal issues with them because they hold a lot of water, even as much as thin as they are, and you would not get to powder them very easy. So we had to make bay leaf, very, very nice, and help again in blood sugar control, right? A very nice tea. We can't go wrong with bay leaf. You see, as small as these leaves, I throw about 3 of these leaves into a glass of water, hot water that is, and man, trust me, you can't go wrong. One of the things is that I advise people to do not put sugar in your tea. Use a herb naturally, just like that. Okay, right. Don't put sugar in. You need it because you're getting so many sugars in other different things. This is rosemary. It smells good, fine leaf. It's a plant that is like almost have to have a way of knowing how to get it grow. But once it starts growing, trust me, it will bloom. So all these local herbs we have around us, we need to utilize them. There are so many other herbs that so many other herbs that we don't utilize that we have around us, and we need to utilize them. So let us use our herbs. Don't just have them and fail to use them, because we could be missing out on something that is very powerful that we have right in our own backyard. All right. Um, I can't overemphasize the aspect of care or caution when we are using herbs. Cannot be overemphasized. As I always say, as plain as water is, it could poison you. So think about something. And remember, if something goes into your body as an element, it do not remain an element, because it mixes with other things and then becomes a compound. It's harder to separate a compound from an element to an element. It's like you burn a piece of wood, you get ash. Bringing back that ash to a solid wood, it's a different kettle of fish. And so we have to be very much mindful. So I can't overemphasize the aspect of being mindful. Be careful of some plants are very toxic. They are toxic to the touch, and they can be toxic if you consume them. Why that is so important that we know our herbs? Because remember I said initially, my problem might not be Elder Noel's problem. And certain herb, it may create an allergy. We may develop allergies to it. Or certain herb, while it might give us allergy response to another person, it may not. And so we need to know ourselves. I have come to realize sometimes our days are so busy that at the end of the day, we don't even remember how did they start and all that we do. Any of us ever stop and think back from morning, when we go into bed, stop and think back from morning to where we are and how much thing and what we would have done? Sometimes we fall, we have different issues and we don't even record. It's like if it's not recorded. But not until when something happened and you take a time and you sift, you realize, this did happen to me. You didn't spend time to do it. So I'm saying, you might be allergic to something, but you are so fast and you only realize you sneeze and you take it for nothing and you go on a merry way. So we must be mindful of know ourselves and know the herb that we are using, so that we do not poison ourselves and they are not toxic or develop allergies. Because you could develop an allergy, don't know, and then you could have anaphylactic shock. You could have so much situation. And anaphylactic shock, if not given medical attention almost immediately, you could die. Because that is a severe form. The allergy would have transferred. It's like you reached up a point of no return if you're not mindful when it reached anaphylactic shock. Right? So if we know our herb, we will know if we have any allergies to plants and what, and we will be able to know what to keep. Because if we develop allergies, or sometimes we might develop rash or different situation, once we know, we would be able to know what action or what caution we must take as it relates to herb. So herbs was given as a service to man. The Bible have administered it, and once we observe the health laws, like I say, the herb is like a tool. It assisting, it helping. It is not a magic pill. So we cannot do the wrong thing and expect the herb to do the correction of the right thing. We first have to do the right thing. The herb is maintaining, keeping that balance, to help us to continue to praise and worship. When you're sick, you can't really praise God good. Your concentration is on the pain. Your concentration is elsewhere. And that's why sometimes when people are sick, it's not that they don't want to hear about God, but the healing, they want to get well, they want to get better. And sometimes that blocks your both physical and spiritual orientation or consciousness. So it is good once the temple is healthy, once the temple is engaged, we take care of the temple. Because if we don't take care of it, like I always say, when it comes to Mother Nature, it's only one earth we have. And if we fail to take care of it, it will fail to take care of us. So we have to be mindful. While herbs are good, our actions, our knowledge of herbs is very important, right? I hope I would have said something to us that might be a reminder, or something that I would have said to us would open up our mind to do more research or something. But the only knowledge we save is the one we share. And that's the reality. So, Christian? Oh, okay. All right, we don't have a question. So let me thank you for listening. And I do hope that as we continue to serve God, as He open up our knowledge and grant us wisdom, let us share it with each other, that our knowledge will pass on from one to the other, and we so can sustain life. Question? Well, the open sun is not a problem drying them, because if it doesn't have a dehydrator, it's the best thing to do, right? And it means that you would have to keep moving and replacing. That is, you can, some people have things drying and they leave them overnight. Rain might not come, but the night dew, moisture. So not only you hinder the time process, but you allow moisture to mingle between, and that moisture could build up with mold. And even if it's dry, it could dry with the mold, and then it could create a problem. While the sun is a cleanser, and hence the reason why I say, to me, the dehydrator is good because it also helps to disinfect at the same time. Because the temperature is constant, but it is slow, but it have longevity. So it helps to prepare your stuff. Mm-hmm. No, one of the things I know for certain that does work well, and I said no because of mingling and experience with other people, and ask them to apply it and try it, is the foot bath. Like as we say with compress, you actually, and it works well with the menstrual cycle as well. You sit down and have your foot in some warm water, as it were, and it helps to soothe the whole system, and it works well. I also I also know I know there was one particular friend of mine who I would have give some herbs to, natural herbs that we have around us, prepare a tea for her. She was like 3 months without sleep. Literally can't sleep because her blood pressure was high, 300 plus. So it's like a day I was home, I sitting and said, but long time I ain't talked to this friend. So when I called her, she said she was explaining to me how sick she was. I said, but why didn't you call me? So that same, it was a Sabbath evening, I had to prepare some and I dropped it for her. I told her what to do, how to mix it, and how to administer it. That night, after 3 months, was the first time she slept like a baby and sleep real good. By the Monday, her pressure, which was 300 plus, was down, right down to normal. So if we know our herbs and we know what the situation is, we could apply the right thing. And by the grace of God, trust me, it will work. And it does work. And she don't really have much of an issue. Again, when people use it herb, you have to also know the background, because high blood pressure, while it can be hereditary, it could also be because of lifestyle, and it could also be because of other issues. If you have kidney issues, generally high blood pressure is going to go along with it, right? High blood pressure also affects the heart and also affects the kidney. So it's like you could see the chain reaction between them. Remember, the whole body is one unit. It's like a domino effect. You push one and you push all. The blood sugar out of alignment, it could affect your blood pressure. The blood pressure could affect your blood sugar, and everything like that. A bunch of things that we don't take, that we take for granted, you know. Right. So something I was about to say, but I think I should say it now, but it has to do with the whole circulatory system and certain herbs and how blood flow. Any area of your body that is not active, have less nutrients, have less blood flow, will result into a problem. So that is why the entire body needs to be very active. And there are some things, once you're active, you need to maintain it. Life is a cycle. I once was explaining to a friend in terms of fibroid and the reality behind it. A lot of us ignore. See, when God creates certain things to take place, it must happen. If it don't happen, trust me, you will have problems. It's like, I would say to people, do not use anything that says anti. Antiphosphorus, friend, why? Your body's supposed to sweat. It's supposed to perspire. When you do that, you're actually plugging your air hose and you're sending the toxin back in the body, which will make you sick. Right? So use deodorant, not anything that's anti-deodorant or anti-this or anti-that. You can actually be mashing up yourself. And be mindful of our deodorant when you use. Keep away from anything that have aluminum base inside them. Alright? Because while the herb may tend to detoxify, if we are using that, we are putting in what the herb trying to bring out. So that will stay here for now. There's much more we could talk, but time, every good thing must come to an end at one point or the other. So thank you very much for listening, and I do hope that as we continue to trust God, He will inspire us more and more each day as to what we are to do to have a healthy body temple. Thank you.
All right, Brother Dawes, thank you so much for that presentation. We definitely learned a lot on herbs, and we are step number 4 into our process here of the Health Week. And I hope that we will take in these lessons. Now, I did promise you guys a handout from yesterday. We still haven't got to that yet, but you will get the handouts of all of this information, okay? Before the week, the Health Week is out, you will get the handouts, all right? And if you guys are online, you'll be able to download it. So everybody will get this information that Brother was just disseminated here to us. So that being said, let us stand for the closing hymn, and after which number 88 will be the closing hymn. After which we'll ask Brother Lester to do the closing prayer. And we'll say a special prayer for the health of our members, of course, and that the Lord may help that this information and all of the information we've been giving out here night after night get out, they apply it, and they can gain the benefits for which was promised. So let's turn our hymnals to number 88, and we will stand as we sing that song.
Thank you for joining us in this segment of the 1 week seminar. We trust that you have been blessed. Remember to download your handout and most importantly, take one action step and apply it into your life. Join us again tomorrow for the next segment of the 1 week Health Reset webinar.